You're tuning in to the Goldilocks presentation of the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show with Anthony Rodriguez. Anthony Rodriguez, aka Walking Crow, found transformational energy healing through a personal search into healing and was transformed by this experience. He made the decision to pursue training and has since become a certified energy healing practitioner with an emphasis on working with clients in recovery from addiction. His willingness to be open and listen has allowed him to be of service to many who seek a peaceful, serene, and healthier body, mind, and spirit. Call in now if you would like to speak with Anthony. The call-in number is 713-955-0332. Enjoy this transformational and healing show.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. My name's Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and I'm your host. I'd like to welcome all our regular listeners back, and if we have any new listeners today, which I'm sure we do because of our guest, I'd like to welcome you as well. This is Blog Talk Radio, and this is where you can call and learn to heal, be healed, and learn about healing. I am a practicing energy healer practitioner, and I work with those who are suffering from different illnesses, whether it be emotional, psychological, physical, spiritual. And you can call me and reach out to me and get a free consultation by calling 818-442-1717, or reach out to me at anthony@sacreddrummedicine.com. Well, all right. Today's February 7th. It's rainy in Los Angeles. It's a beautiful day. And over the last few weeks, I've been bringing on guests, special guests, and I'll be doing that for the next couple of weeks as well. Today, we're going to be hearing from Master Seal. He's a friend, teacher, master shaman. And last week, Jeannie Love was with us. And the week before that, Emma Molina Iniguez was with us. And next week, we are going to be hearing from Marsh Engel. And but today, we're right here, right now. And in 2 weeks, by the way, my beautiful producer, Tiffany White, will be gracing us with her presence, and we're going to learn a lot more about Goldilocks Media and what it is that Tiffany White brings to the table. She's an incredible producer, and I'd like to thank her for doing what she does for us and allowing us to do what we do. Aho. Now, back to today. Today's guest, Master Seal. He is a founder of Results Healing Mastery, master of medical Qigong. He's a Hawaiian kahuna healer. Master Seal practices in Los Angeles at the Pacific West Medical Center, where he sees local clients and others who travel to see him from as far away as Europe, Australia, South Africa, and all over the U.S. He uses silent modality, where he projects his own chi, prana, life force, mana, ki, to ignite that of the clients, who then actually do healing themselves from that point. He founded the Results Healing Mastery after studying with several masters from the Orient, and especially after spending 7 months in complete silence with the powerful kahunas, authentic Hawaiian priest healing masters on the Big Island of Hawaii. Well, that's incredible. I would love to do that. In total silence, he says, I absorbed the high frequencies of healing emitted by the kahunas. It was in the mountain caves of Hawaii with these ancient priests where I learned the most about healing, says Master Seal. Prior to his healing career, Master Seal was a print journalist and a newsman on TV and radio in Australia, New Zealand, and the U.S. He has a master's degree in English literature. He offers private appointments, group healings, events, and long-distance sessions via phone, Skype, and webinar format. For information on Master Seal, you can reach him at masterseal@masterseal.com is his email, and his phone number is 424-744-6439 in Los Angeles, in the USA. And you can learn more about Master Seal at www.masterseal.com. And here's a quote from Simi Goyle, a medical doctor. The sessions were incredible and left me feeling invigorated and happy. My asthma has been bothering me. After a session, I was able to breathe easier. I recommend Master Seal highly without reservation. He is simply one of the most powerful energy healers I've ever met. Simi Goyle, MD. Now that's an incredible bio, and boy, wow, I would love to be able to share a bio like that one day, if I don't already. But I'd like to bring on Master Seal, and if he's there, I'd like to say hello, Master Seal. How are you today? Are you with us?
Oh, great. It's good to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me.
All right. Well, good to talk to you, my friend. I refer to you as... Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Our signal seems to be cutting on and off.
Oh,
you hear me?
Okay. We'll try to fix that on our end. But welcome aboard. I often refer to you as friend, teacher, master, shaman. And I don't know how you feel about that, but that's how I feel about you. I see you as a great teacher to me and a wonderful friend, and I really appreciate the presence of your company at any given time. So I welcome you to the Transformational Sacred Drum Radio Show, and I thank you for being here. I know that you are from New Zealand, and coming from New Zealand to Los Angeles is quite a journey. And I thank you for making that trip, because it's because you made that trip that I was able to meet you at some point and learn about your teachings. Can you tell us, Master Seal, a little bit about your teachings and what it is that you do? Well, if we seem to have lost Master Seal's signal, maybe he can call in and try another signal. Let's see what we can do to get him back on board.
Yes.
Are you there? Hello? Master Seal, are you there? Are you with us? You might want to try to give us a call. Try to call in again. We've lost your signal. We don't know what happened here. Well, anyways, Master Seal is an incredible healer.
I'm here.
And we're going to try to get him to call in. I apologize, folks. Don't know why we've got a bad signal today. So Master Seal is a master of medical Qigong. And I'm not real familiar with medical Qigong. I've had some practice with Qigong, with a Qigong master who was teaching, but I don't know if it was the same type of thing. We didn't use it for healing. We used it for changing of ourselves, which is healing. So as soon as we get Master Seal back online, we'll bring him back in. Master Seal and I meet for lunch probably every couple of weeks, and when you get to sit across the table from a master of his magnitude, it's quite an experience. And there's things that you learn that you never thought you would learn, and one of the things that you learn is sometimes the man is just human, like we all are, and which is a good thing, because sometimes we put people on a pedestal and we don't know, we expect more from them than they actually are, and the fact of the matter is they're just humans. And like my sponsor from my 12-step program says, hi human. Let's see if we can go back to Master Seal now, see if he's back online. Master Seal, are you there? Hello, Master Seal. Are you there? He's not back yet, so we'll work on that technical difficulty and try to get him back online, and we'll see what we can do. I met Master Seal last year. We did a metaphysical event up in Sierra Madre, and he came and he was in one of the in-studio teachers where he did medical Qigong for a big swath of people. There was probably 40 people in the room. And I wasn't in the room because I was out in my booth, but I heard of him, and he came by. He came by to say hello, and I got to shake his hand and learn a little bit about him, and I wanted to get to work with him. Now, what's interesting about his appearance in our lives is at the time my wife was doing my journey. I do shamanic drumming for journeying, and my wife was coming to the class and she was journeying. She kept seeing a shaman from the South Pacific. She didn't understand it. She kept hearing taka, and then she started asking questions of this medicine man, and while she journeyed, and Mr. Seal appeared, in our lives, and it was quite interesting when I received a call from him, and with regard to getting together and having lunch, and it was the most amazing thing. So I think we may have him back. Master Seal, are you there?
Yes.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Hello?
I'm able to hear you now. How are you today?
Great. So,
sorry about the technical difficulties.
I'm doing great, thank you. I know you've been...
I'm not able to hear you. You've got a poor connection.
So I'll wait.
Hello? We have a really poor connection. I don't know what's going on. I can't hear a thing you're saying. I hear it in spurts, but I don't hear anything else. I don't know if it's on our end or whether it's a signal where you are. Sometimes that's the problem that we run into when we use our cell phones to do the kind of work we do. And we're such a high energy individuals. We carry such a high frequency. Sometimes that breaks up the electronics and things that we use. But I don't know what to do today because I can't hear Master Seal, and I really wanted to share what it is what he does and who he is with regard to being a master teacher and a healer. Master Seal, can you hear me at all, or because I cannot hear you? Period. Maybe you might want to go into another part of the room, or I don't know what the answer is here because I don't have any signal from you at all.
Yes. Okay, I can hear you fine. Yeah.
There you go. Now you're clear. Are you there? I keep losing your signal. You keep going out. Okay, well, I can't seem to hear Master Seal, and we just did a phone test before the show, and the universe does what it does, and energy does what it does, and it's not allowing me to hear Master Seal. I don't know if anybody out in the audience can hear Master Seal, because there's no way to gauge that, and so I don't know what to do. Maybe my producer Tiffany has an answer for me. If there's another phone that Master Seal could use, we just can't hear your voice, sir, and I apologize for the technical difficulties, but I can't hear you at all, and I apologize. Do you have a landline that you could call in on? I'm not sure. Okay, one of the worst things that we can have on radio or on any type of media is dead airspace, and we're not able to pick up any sort of signal from Master Seal. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the problem is. And my producer isn't able to hear him as well. So I don't know how we're going to move forward. Master Seal, are you there at all? No, I have no signal. I I have no response. I don't know what to do, and I'm so embarrassed about this because I was so looking forward to listening to Master CEO and introducing him to our audience today. And I'm going to try to move forward, and if Master CEO can call in from another place, maybe it's a signal where he's at. I'm not sure, because sometimes that happens as well. Walls and mountains and hills and trees and things.
Really?
It doesn't always work for us. So, okay. So this is a Transformational Sacred Medicine show. My name is Anthony Rodriguez Walking Crow, and our guest today is Master Seal, we're not able to get a signal with him, and I don't know what to do, and I can't make a signal happen where there's no signal. I don't know what it is we can do. So call-in number 713-955-4332. And Master Seal, are you there? Okay, Master Seal, I don't have a signal from you. I can't hear anything you're saying. I hear a hello every time and again, but I can't hear anything else from you. I apologize. It's not, for some reason, something's not happening today. So I'm gonna have to, frustrated as I am, I have to move on with the show because I just can't. Maybe you guys can work on the technical difficulty in the background, but I need to move on with the show. I apologize.
Hear you now.
But I can't hear you, sir. And if I can't hear you, that means the audience can't hear you. Are you there? Hello? Hello? No, there's no.
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you, sir. Hello?
Hello?
We might have to.
Yes, can you hear me?
Are you there, Master Seal?
Yes.
Okay, I can hear you, parts of you, and then you fade. So.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. I have never understood that when in radio, when things like this happen, and I do now, and I apologize to you. Welcome aboard again, and I apologize for the technical difficulties. I think people of high frequency have more problems with technical difficulties than most people, and I can only guess that or surmise that. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay now?
I can hear you, yes, sir. So,
okay, great.
So tell us a little bit about what it is you do as a master of medical qigong. I don't have a lot of experience with that, and I'd like to learn a little bit more of that. And I'd like to learn a little bit more of how you came into that kind of work.
There are many, many different ways of connecting with the universe or higher power. My way is only one way. And I'm happy with doing what I'm doing because I don't really need a whole lot of, shall we say, assistance from anything other than just myself. There are many ways, rituals, chanting, burning of incense and crystals, and all kinds of things that can help connect with your higher power. My way is seems to be a direct connection. It's not necessarily the right way, but it is the way that works best for me. And what I do is I connect with people through a very high frequency, and it causes them, without effort, to open up to their higher power. That's basically it. It's very, very simple.
Well, that's pretty. I know over a period of time we've had conversations, and because I use different methods. I'm an energy healer as well, but I also use drum and other things. And at one point you said, because I don't use crystals anymore. I just don't use those. And actually, because you said to me one day, you don't really need that, Anthony. You have that. You already have all that. And that put me in a place where I felt I didn't need them anymore. I just set them aside and never went back to them again. And not that they don't work. I just felt that you were right, because you know me really well. And I didn't feel like they were any longer necessary for the work that I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is true. I think a lot of people have difficulty believing how much power they really have. So believing that you do have it already, I think, is pretty much the battle.
Yeah.
When you are all by yourself, because in the ultimate analysis, let's say that you were out in the middle of the desert or on a isolated island somewhere in the Pacific, and you don't have access to your crystals or incense, or you forgot the charms. What else do you have? You only have yourself.
Yeah.
So if you can just use that, that is, to me, the ultimate way to access your higher power, is without any assistance from other than your higher power.
Oh.
And so over a period of years, I've cultivated this, not entirely on my own, with observation of other masters, particularly in the islands of Hawaii. And an illustration of the transmission of this kind of power can be seen in how I learned most of what I do, and that was through silence. I had to wait 3 years before I could go and visit these kahunas or masters in Hawaii, and the stipulation was that I would not talk, that they would not talk for as long as it was required. And the initial period was like 3 months. I enjoyed it so much after a massive resistance in the beginning that I didn't want to leave there. And so I wound up, instead of 3 months, I wound up staying there for 7 months in total silence, except we were allowed only one vocal sound, and that was laughter. And we laughed a lot, but no actual, no actual conversation.
This is the part. This is actually the part I wanted to hear more about, because you and I have talked about that, and I'm like, I don't know. I have trouble being silent for only because there's so many. I have so many thoughts here. Trouble being silent for 5 minutes, which isn't true. But I think that's such an amazing experience that you were able to do that for 7 months. And how did you come upon learning about the kahunas? These holy men on Hawaii, on the Big Island?
I actually wrote a poem about how Hawaii lost their kingdom, how it was ceded to the U.S. It was an independent kingdom before. And somebody on a different island, at that time I was living on Oahu, which is where Honolulu is, and a kahuna on the island of Kauai read the poem and gave me a call, and we connected, and I flew over to see him in Kauai. But before then, some rather extraordinary things happened. I wrote the poem in English, and then I got a message to have it translated the Hawaiian language. And I didn't know anyone who spoke Hawaiian fluently, but I was kind of led to drive to this other area on Oahu, and I ran across a Hawaiian linguist who was the first captain of the Hokea, which was a voyaging canoe, using the ancient navigation techniques of Hawaii. So I wound up having my poem translated to Hawaii, the Hawaiian language, and I read this over the air somehow. I don't recall. I think it was on a internet chat channel. And Kahuna on Kauai picked up, and he was so moved by it that he invited me to come over and visit him. And from him, I learned about 4 kahunas that mentored me on the island of Hawaii. That's basically how that came about.
Oh wow, that's incredible. And did they?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I had to wait like 3 years before I could go and see kahunas on the Big Island. And I was actually overseas at the time I got called, so I dropped everything, came back to Hawaii, and went up to see these mentors of mine, with the stipulations I mentioned of not speaking for as long as I stayed up there. So in the beginning, it was very difficult to communicate with them, and I thought I was going to go nuts, not being able to talk to them or hear anything. But eventually, I started to get messages, and it wound up just like you and I are talking right now. We are talking audibly, and toward the end, we could converse just like you and I are right now. And we would just burst out laughing. I slept in caves with them on the floor, and I saw many, many wondrous things that I have no logical explanation for, but I accept that these things happen. And basically they told me there are many things you will never be able to understand, and just accept that you witness them, and that is all. It's kind of similar to how my clients ask me, what did you do? And my response was basically, I really cannot explain anything. Let's just be grateful that you feel some relief.
Now tell me, that's very funny. Were you on a path to becoming a healer or being a healer already before you met these holy men, these kahunas?
Yes, from a very young age, as an infant actually, my father was a physician. He was classically trained in Western medicine, and my aunt, that's his sister, was a herbalist and also an energy healer. So they came to working with people from 2 entirely different directions. But I would go to my aunt's house and I would sit by her feet and watch her. Sometimes I fell asleep. In retrospect, I understand now that some of her knowledge got transferred to me just through her vibrations or frequencies. And so I recall I was about 7 or 8 around there playing with some buddies in the fields, and one of them fell down and his knees swelled up. And I remember placing my hand on it, and he calmed right down, and after a little while the knee went back to normal. So even though I didn't receive any formal training from my aunt, somehow I absorbed some of her knowledge, or you might say ability, because as you know, there's no such thing as matter. What we see as matter is actually energy moving at a very slow speed, so that we think it's matter. We can touch the suitcase or your computer or the phone or the table, but in actuality there's more space that we don't see between the atomic particles that make up the table or your computer or even our bodies.
Yeah. Wow.
So these frequencies are transferred constantly. Everything's in a state of flux. And this becomes much more powerful at close proximity, if you're right next to someone, for many different reasons. Theoretically, there is really no distance. but because of our senses, we think that everything is more powerful at close range.
Yeah.
But in any event, I think I absorbed some of her abilities then, and I was more convinced of this after spending so many months up in the hills in Hawaii with my mentors, the Kahunas. Does that make any sense to you?
That makes perfect sense. Now, how do you make a decision to drop everything and live in a cave? And I understand it now that, as at the age of where I am now, and with the wisdom I have now, I could make a conscious decision to do that. But when you really think about living in a culture of material, America is a material culture. I'm not saying you are, but how do you let go of everything and make that decision? Because I know there was a time in my life where there was no way I could make that decision. I probably could now, today, tomorrow, but yesterday there was no way.
Actually, I have done many so-called crazy things in my life, and I found that I was still alive.
Amen.
So I have been wishing to meet these powerful spiritual masters for quite a while, and when the opportunity came, I just said, "Okay, I'm going to go for it." I had some trepidation or some concerns that I would give up after a couple of days. And I thought, okay, so if I give up, I give up. But I might learn something even if I gave up after even a couple of hours. And so I decided to go up, and hey, we had a really, really fantastic time. There were moments when I thought that they were completely bored with me, that they thought, wow, this guy here knows basically nothing, and how long is he going to be here? I'm sure they knew ahead of time, and they'd been they'd seen neophytes like myself before. But as you get older, you begin to think, you realize that material things are not really that important. The first time that you fell in love with someone, you didn't really say, okay, let me see, I think I better get a car first, and maybe buy lots of food, maybe put money in the bank. I'm not going to fall in love until I accomplish all these things. And later in life, you find out that love comes all by itself. Doesn't care if you have money in the bank or what kind of car you drive. Love is, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And so we learn that the unseen things, the simple things, are more important than the material things. Unfortunately, as you mentioned earlier, in the capitalist society, everything seems to be based on money. You don't have money, you're basically useless to a lot of people. But more and more, the world is awakening to the real values of our existence, and that's to help one another.
Yes. Well, I know that I have there's other people in my life who have seemed to have, like, they would walk, they have their practices and they do what they do with regards to medicine, if you will. And they seem to go on vacation, or they wander onto a reservation somewhere, New Mexico, Arizona, Oklahoma, name a state, Colorado. And there's inevitably a medicine man that appears to them and gives them their name and gives them permission to do what it is they're doing, and then their life changes again in that way. And that hasn't happened to me, although I'm surrounded by teachers. You're, like I said, I consider you one of my teachers, and Emma and Jeannie Love. and I'm sure the day I walk onto a reservation, somebody's going to walk up and say, "Hey, what have you been doing?" As a joke, and tell me the joke's on me. But I just think there's such a relationship between your experience, and then these people stepping onto a reservation where the medicine men appear, and I just think I just think that's so amazing. And like I said, it hasn't been my experience yet, but there's probably a lot of yet that I'm going to be experiencing at some point in my life, But now
you see, Anthony, the truth is, we all are teachers. We all are teachers in some capacity to one another. The main difference that we perceive is that some people seem to be a little more clear than others, and the key to that is their belief in themselves. Yes. They believe that they are a teacher. They believe that they have found something that is very interesting and that creates a lot of good feelings in them. It makes them feel more loving. That yes. You and everybody else, you can actually feel the authenticity of a true healer versus someone that's just playing games.
Yes, absolutely.
Your heart can detect instantly. This guy is real. This guy is just an actor, and so on. So all of us are teachers for one another. Mm-hmm. And the more convinced you are that you are, the more you're able to harness the energy that is available to everyone.
You know what was interesting? I was where I got my training, some of my training from. I was going to school there. Then when I finished, they invited me in to become an assistant and be their audio video guy, the guy that would do the sound in the trainings. And one day in particular, I already gotten my certificate from this particular school, and I was already practicing outside of that. And so somebody needed assistance, and I went over and adjusted their body and their hands. And the person running the class walked over to me and whispered in my ear, "You don't know what you're doing. Please don't touch people." I had just paid this person, $3,000-$4,000 to teach me what I had learned, and I had been practicing. And at that moment, I thought to myself, "Get away from me! You need to give me my money back." Because I just thought, wow, really? Did you just say that to somebody that you just taught to do what you do? And I don't know if that came from a place of fear or not knowing, or I don't know what that was, but I was just really put off by that, and I really haven't gone back to that school to be involved in anything, even though I've received invitations. It just really kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, that experience. Because I know now there's people in my life, in my practice, I mean, just like you, as soon as I posted this show with your picture on it, I started getting phone calls, about what we were doing. And I just explained to them, it's just a blog talk radio show where it's not an event. But there's people who speak to me in a way that they respect me and they show me and they honor me. Just like I honor you when I talk about you, I talk about you with full honor. I would never do that to somebody and make them and belittle them in that way. And I was just really surprised and blown away that somebody would do that after I paid them money. Kind of reminds me of our present administration in Washington. So, to know that I have this ability and you have this ability and the people around me, and I see them, and you're correct. I do see the ones that I feel are sincere and they really have stepped into their, I don't want to say power, because that power sometimes is the wrong word, into their medicine. I like to use that word, into their abilities. It's really noticeable for me, and I always try to teach them and help them along with that, to encourage them. That's the word. I always try to be encouraging with them with regard to what it is they're doing for themselves and others. And I know that you do the same thing with me. I mean, sitting across from you for lunches is an amazing experience, and people wouldn't understand. All those other hundreds of people sitting in that restaurant have no clue. They don't know what I know, and it's a blessing, and I just want to say thank you to you for being a part of my life and teaching me. Sometimes it's just teaching me how to sit down and have a meal,
Well, thank you. I think that a lot of things are very strong on theory and rituals, and it's okay. Let me be clear. There's room for every style of healing. Okay.
Yes.
There's massage schools. There's people who watch sunsets and get high. There's people who eat blades of grass and get high. All sorts of things, and they're all valid. Okay. Just like walking is one method of transportation, running is another, skateboarding is one, and driving a bicycle or motorcycles and cars and planes and spaceships, they're all means of transportation. Where are these things going? They are going to one place. If we look at this as a illustration of spiritual development, sooner or later, all these means of transport will get to there. Right? Some a little faster than others, some a little slower. What I tell my students is that you are already there.
Yeah.
You don't need to run all over. You already have it.
You already, and you said that to me. You said that to me
Yes.
standing in a parking lot.
That's right. But people, they because of our senses, we think that, wow, there's supposed to be some thunderous voice from the sky saying, "Welcome, son, you are here," and puff of clouds and whirlwind, and you'll be carried around and tossed around and fed candy by angels stringing harps and stuff. All of that is just a fantasy. We already are all healers. The ones that seem to be more effective just believe in what they do authentically more than see people walking around. The most difficult step in realizing who we are is accepting who we are not. But because of our senses,
That's beautiful.
From the moment we are born, we are getting slowly addicted to the material world. We learn that if we cry, mommy would feed us. We learn that if we scream and yell, somebody will do our bidding. Okay, if we're in a meeting with a bunch of adults who start screaming, someone will get up and take us outside away so that they are interrupted. And so we learn through our senses that people respond to us by using our senses. We have to cry, we have to beg, we eat food, we feel good, we drink water, we feel good. When in fact, we don't have to do anything. We get the more satisfaction there's more satisfaction in sitting quietly and acknowledging that you are a divine being than eating all the chocolate in the world. Mind you, I love chocolates, but I feel even better.
But do you like divine
sitting
chocolate?
Quietly, not doing anything. What's that?
I said, but do you like divine chocolate?
And so the idea, like after you get to a certain point, you realize that everything that you are, everything that you do, affects everything else. What we are discussing now are affecting the molecules in Mars and Jupiter and the Sun. It's affecting people in Africa, in Japan, in France. And so as people, your audience, listen to the sound of our conversation, they will feel things. It means that it's affecting them. And this is how people are able to transmit healing energy over thousands of miles, whether it's by phone or by Skype or just through the silence. The silence is the most. People will feel it. This is how I do my work. Just last night I was working with a lady in Houston, Texas, with some brain cancer, I think. And she sent me an email this morning that during our entire session, which was about 10 minutes before I knew that she had fallen asleep, she wrote me this morning that she had the best sleep she's had in months, that from the beginning she started to feel this heat swirling around her brain. This is a lady with brain cancer, swirling around her brain. I did sit here and say, okay, I'm going to get my blow dryer out and point it to Houston and shoot out to her brain. I merely connected with her. I talked to her on the phone, and I said, you're going to start to feel things, and if I lose you, just drop me an email in the morning and let me know how you're doing. And she sent me a very, very nice email that she felt better, and we're all set up to continue over the next few weeks. I would like to clarify that I am not a medical doctor. I'm a spiritual healer. I think ultimately everything comes from the spirit. And this really conforms with what Einstein said, that everything is a frequency, vibration, and it's just the laws of physics.
Yes.
And as time progresses and the physicists find out more and more of the unseen, people are starting to accept that what is known as spirit is actually a form of energy or frequency, and the spiritual believers are beginning to work more closely with the physicists who believe that everything is only what we see or perceive. I think the Dalai Lama said it best, that the spiritual world and the physical world are starting to shake hands.
Yes. Well, see, I believe that I believe in both worlds, and I believed this for quite some time, and I really didn't begin to believe it till I started to get training as a healer, and also when I started my practice as doing sweat lodges with my elders, because that's really where the veil became really thin, and I would just step right through it, and I was living in both worlds at the same time. And I feel like that's such an amazing place, and I'd love to share that with people. But some people are frightened by that. You hear them talk about God and other things in religion, but when it comes to matters of spiritual principles and spiritual living and spiritual practices, they seem to just be petrified and become fearful of it. And I'm like, what? I don't understand that. Because I find it fascinating. My world is fascinating now, and and it's I'm constantly noticing those things, especially like in my job. I work over at this grocery store, and people walk in who are ill and cancer and Lou Gehrig's disease and different things, and I sit there and I talk to them, and the conversations that I had with them in the aisles of that grocery store are amazing. And they start to get the healing while they're standing there, and I'm looking at them, but they're also afraid because they don't understand. I don't wear a white coat with a stethoscope and it says MD, and they I can't be legit. Sometimes people don't think we're legitimate because they don't understand, and that has nothing to do with me. That's okay, but living in the spiritual world. The more I talk to people like you and people like Emma and people like Marsh and people like Jeannie Love and others, and I'm just I just sometimes I just want to go off to sleep, and it feels like ice cream or the best thing I could ever eat dripping over me. You know what I mean? I just find it to be an amazing experience. you know. So, but I know that you work with a lot of people here in Los Angeles, and you actually teach a class. You have a class, I believe, on Saturdays. Is that correct?
Saturdays at 11. Yes. I teach a class in medical qigong and meditation, and then I do healing for my students. And this is in West LA on Santa Monica Boulevard. I think if anyone's interested, they can just go to my website, and it's Mastersio, MASTERSIO.com, and they'll find the details there. Or they can call me if they want, 424-744-6439. As we are talking, I am sending some healing frequencies out to your audience and to yourself and your producer. And hopefully this will affect them in a very calming and positive way. And I'm also open to answer more questions either from you or people in the audience who are listening.
Well, this is, I want to remind everybody that they're listening to the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show, and my name's Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and I'm your host. And we're with Master Sio today. And if you want to call in, we've got 8 minutes left in the show, 713-955-0332. Remember to push 1 to get out of listen mode, and you can ask Master Sio a question or anything you want to know, or ask me a question. You can reach me also at anthony@sacreddrummedicine.com if you need to after the show. What else is, there's so many facts. I mean, how does somebody go from New Zealand to the mainland? I understand. I have a cousin who goes to New Zealand every year for vacation, and I see the pictures, and it's just an amazingly beautiful place, and I think, why would anybody want to come here? And here you are being who you are and doing what you do. You do it here. And I think I bet there's a lot of people who are grateful for your presence here on the mainland.
I think it's the nature of human beings to think that the grass is greener on the other side.
You got to.
We have people from US going to New Zealand. We have people from New Zealand going to Tibet. We have people from Tibet going to New York. The human beings are just totally restless, and to a certain extent we are subject to our circumstances, of course. But I'm happy to be here. Sometimes it's a little challenging being in La La Land here in Los Angeles, but hey, sometimes it's challenging in New Zealand or Fiji or Mexico.
Earlier today,
Life is what you make of it.
Yeah, I had a couple of friends who posted a picture on social media. They were on an airplane. One was from Tibet, one was from Kenya, one lives in Venice, California, and the other lives in Joshua Tree. And I thought, how ironic, these two people were on a jet plane going to where they're going, and they come from these totally different opposite worlds, Tibet and Kenya, Africa, but then I had to think, well, wait a minute, I'm from here. My family's from, or a family of origin is from the land of Mexico. You're from New Zealand.
Uh-huh.
That's no difference. It's no different than we're just not on a plane, but we're on a plane.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
if you have any more questions, go ahead and shoot.
Well, let me see. So I know that you were a performer in Hawaii, of all places. You're a musician as well, and you performed in Hawaii for quite some time.
This is very cool. I have lived many different lives right here on Earth. I was a newspaperman. I worked on the largest newspaper in New Zealand, the New Zealand Herald. I've done some broadcast work on radio and television, and one of the segments I produced was on PBS TV here in the U.S., and various newspapers and other media here in the U.S. I also decided I wanted to be a musician, and so I became a musician, not a very good one, actually mediocre to less than mediocre. But I surrounded myself with a lot of very talented musicians who made band sound much better. And I did some work in the real estate field. I bought and sold some properties, among other things. But mostly I wandered around wasting my life. Now I'm more focused on helping other people through my work, healing work.
You know, I find a lot of healers, they do a lot of different things. I'm the same way. I was a musician. I hadn't played music for 30 years, so I was a mediocre musician who played in a very powerful band. And I'm an artist. I'm a photographer. I do all these different things. But I have to tell you, the thing I love most is helping people to heal from the issues in their tissues and the things that affect them emotionally, psychologically, physically, and spiritually. This has given me more peace than anything that I could have ever done in my lifetime. And you know, you say wandering around the world, wasting time, or oh man, I think about the lessons and the teachers that you've come across, and how amazing that must have been to be able to connect in that way.
Yeah, I was being a little facetious when I said wasting my time, because really there's no time wasted. Everything that you do, it may not be the fastest way to get to being more conscious, but eventually it helps. Whether it's toward being a accomplished musician or becoming a accomplished healer, all your past experiences do help, whether it's in that particular field or in a totally unrelated field. But even the word unrelated is really a bit of a misnomer, in that everything is related. Everything is connected. Everybody is connected, whether we are aware of it or not.
Yes. Yes. That's one thing that I've really come into the learning and being a student of, that everything is connected, and there's people out there who try to teach you the opposite, who domesticate us to have a different thought on that. But the more that I do what I do, the more that I know I'm connected, because I keep meeting people that I probably shouldn't have met or never would have met, and here they are in my life, because I'm surrounded. I'm just surrounded by so many brilliant people and amazing people that I'm connected with, and from so many different lands, and it's an honor. We're coming to the last minute of our show, Master Seal, and I want to again thank you for gracing us with your presence and your knowledge and the abilities of who you are as the healer and the man. And I want to say thank you for sharing your life with me and time with me. When we get to sit and have a meal, my favorite place is actually at the table and having a meal. And I learned so much from you. And I want to let the audience know one more time how they can get a hold of you. You can get a hold of Master Seal if you want to get a healing, or if you want to take his class. You can go to his website at www.masterseo.com, MASTERSIO, or you can reach him at 424-744-6439, or you can send him an email at masterseo@masterseo.com. My name is Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and this has been the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. I'm Master Seal. I thank you for coming, and I apologize for our technical difficulties, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, and aloha.
Aloha.
Napa know-how.
The Napa guy knows not to judge a man by his car's multicolored paint job or absence of modern gadgetry. Who cares if it's technically old enough to vote and the windows are powered by the strength of your left arm? Your monthly payment is zero, and it'll stay that way. Because with over 500,000 parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep anything on the road. She may not be pretty, but she's all yours. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.